Welcome to another pre-show. I'm Vincent Frankine here with a ghostly Charles Coulombe.
Oh, speaking to you from the great beyond, the the mists of Avalon are overwhelming us.
I can't
I,
tell what's going on over there. You're like fading into some ethereal mist, or you're
I
hotboxing, or
both.
something.
I'm hotboxing so badly I'm fading into an ethereal mist.
Yeah,
No, it's not. None of that. The sun is just coming in through the window blinds.
yeah,
It'll fade in a little bit.
yeah.
The sun will dip down below the hills and the wolves and vampires will come out, as is the case here in the mysterious Central European realm in which I dwell. The castles on the hill and the werewolves in the woods and the fairies and the glen and the all that stuff.
All right. So, happy Father's Day, everyone.
Happy Father's Day indeed, ladies and gentlemen. And in fact, if you'll stick around, or maybe you don't, but we've had a number of people over this past year because of um, my habit of constantly quoting my father. Uh, we've had a number of people ask us to do a show dedicated entirely to the memory of my dad. So we're going to do it, but not the pre-show. This is what we call the teaser. You want to see the Father's Day thing about my dad, you've got to sit through this and then watch the real show.
All right. Um. All right. Questions time. I have a completely impromptu question. From coming from me. That
You,
we didn't prep. Yeah, we didn't rehearse this at all. It's very
it's unrehearsed.
impulsive. It's impulsive on my part. So I have been
Wow.
watching.
Last time you did this, we had to knock down the new storage wing. All right, fine.
Um, so I've been watching the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and
Yo ho, yeah,
yeah,
and
uh, and we just finished the fourth one, and in the fourth one there are mermaids, which reminds me. I mean, that which makes me think of our discussions of things like fairies, dragons, all this and that. So I wanted to get your stance on mermaids.
well, firstly, without them, we wouldn't have chicken of the sea tuna.
Oh,
I think that's very important to remember that those ladies are responsible for chicken of the sea. What's the best tuna? Chicken of the sea. Um, well, I mean, mermaids go in with all the rest of those sorts of things. They certainly have been reported, for centuries. Mysteries of the deep. Who knows? I don't. I mean, uh,
so, well, I guess let me ask it this way, a different way. So we don't need a yes or no. Are
Aquaman.
are you open to the possibility of mermaids, or do you rule out mermaids?
I'm open to the possibility. I don't rule them out. I mean, again, simply because, like any other creature out of folklore, it's very difficult for me to believe that there was absolutely nothing to it. Now, mind you, that doesn't necessarily mean they're the beautiful chicks with the tails. Um, there are some claims that manatees
Yeah.
gave rise to the stories of mermaids. Now, of course, you look at a manatee's face, it doesn't really look like a pretty chick with blonde hair. But who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, I thought I would ask because I don't know, it's somewhat akin to fairies, where it's like this other
Yeah,
creature where you don't know if they're damned or saved or what their purpose is.
yeah, and there are kelpies and selkies and nixies and all sorts of weird beings of the aqueous realm that may or may not exist. And yeah, why not? Maybe. Who knows? Could be true. I wasn't there.
All right.
I mean, the problem I have with all these things is that it's difficult to say they exist, but it's even more difficult to say they couldn't possibly. It's always harder to prove a negative than a positive.
Well, I think there's the tendency to dismiss because of
People who hate tuna.
I forget the the worldview, but kind of sort of theists, I guess you could say, where they just believe everything's wound up like a clock and it's like this natural
Deist,
evolution.
deist, deist
Deist.
with a D.
There we go. Deist with a D. Yeah.
Theists with a TH believe in a personal God,
Yeah.
which would be a whole other issue. No, deists. Yeah, I mean, it's like sea serpents and sea monsters. We've had reports of these things as long as men have taken to the sea. The Loch Ness monster, you know, does it exist? I don't know. But it's easier. It would be a lot harder to prove it doesn't exist because you'd have to basically go through every inch of Loch Ness and drain it. And if there weren't any dead Loch Ness monster lying there, well then, unless, as some people claim, the Loch Ness monster is a giant sea slug. In which case, even if you drain the loch, slug flesh doesn't last very long.
Hmm. Well, what's the study of these things? It's like cryptozoologists or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it cryptids, which is what they
Mm.
call the creatures that they study? Why is it so hard to catch cryptids? Well, you've got to bear in mind there's a lot of stuff we don't know about places we think we know. Why is it every now and then a heretofore certainly extinct species turns up again? Why did we find it? Where was it hiding? Oh, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's hard.
While I have you here in this weird spot, what about Bigfoot?
Oh, same. I mean,
Really?
Bigfoot. I've got to tell you, my dad was fascinated by Bigfoot. But he's fascinated by all this stuff, cryptozoology and everything.
Yeah.
And he, because you keep seeing Bigfoot, there occasionally gets
What?
evidence of sorts about him.
What did he say? I'm sorry, it skipped out.
We keep, getting reports of Bigfoot. There are occasional apparent physical elements like the footprints and other things. Um,
But what did your
and
dad
yet,
say?
well, he wondered, if there are such things as fairies and all that, could it be that from whatever realm they come from, there are also animals, etc., that slip over from time to time, and that are. I mean, this was a problem with cryptids. What if they come from another world not another world, an other world,
Mm.
cheek by jowl with this one, and they slip across from time to time and go back. And because of their nature, they're just well nigh impossible to catch. Who knows? Like myself, he was what you would call a supreme agnostic in this area, but fascinated by it.
Mm.
A fascinated agnostic.
Mm.
A,
Okay.
a fascinostic.
Yeah.
Is
All
that a
right.
word?
Yes. All
Okay.
right. Let's start with questions that were submitted from people. Superfan Dwarf of Alexandria says, "Dear
Oh,
Charles, which books of Dietrich von Hildebrand would you recommend one start with if they haven't read him before?"
I would recommend Liturgy and Personality as the best start of his work.
Hmm. What is that about? Is that like a?
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an analysis of liturgy specifically in terms of what it does for and with and to the person.
Oh, okay. Actually, based on that, that reminded me of what a good priest was saying about the difference between Novus Ordo and like Latin Mass, where it's like
Yeah,
he didn't like that in the Novus Ordo that people would respond to his personality more, kind of like
yeah.
as he's doing things or certain gestures or whatever, and because he didn't want it to be about him, he wanted it to be about mass. So that's what I thought you were talking about there. I thought it was, or what he was going to talk about is the differences there. But wow,
No,
I don't know if that's available. Is that still available, or is this an out of print book?
I do not know. Let's find out.
Lit-
Liturgy and Personality book by Dietrich von Hildebrand. See? I know what I was talking about. Amazon. Yeah, it
Hildebrand
looks
Press. Good. Okay.
yeah, and and this is a great review. It says your friend Bishop Barron says the principal point of the book you're about to read is the liturgy of the church decisively shapes a healthy personality. Hildebrand insists throughout the text that the primary purpose of the liturgy is not to form the personality, but to give proper praise to God, the supreme value. Nevertheless, by ordering human beings thoroughly to God, the liturgy does, in fact, as a derivative effect, contribute to their flourishing. And then Scott Hahn says Dietrich von Hildebrand spent a life rich in wonder, and he invites us here to marvel with him as he considers the ways that liturgy shapes us as persons. Liturgy is our key to understanding God, ourselves, and the whole world. It uniquely prepares us to approach life with a workable hierarchy of values, true to creation because it is true to the Creator. Liturgy makes us fully human, reconciled with the past and with eternity. Liturgy leads us to our true selves. Here is truth and wisdom, profound and practical. Now, I need hardly tell you that the liturgy to which he refers is, in fact, the traditional Latin and Byzantine rites of the Church. Uh, I don't think he would have felt quite the same way about the guitar mass.
Yeah, that's what. Oh, we have. You know what? We have this book on the Tubman House bookstore. It's $17.99. Wow, that's great. So everybody could just swoop it up on tumblrhouse.com. Free shipping and handling on orders over $30. Gotta
It's gone
count.
up.
Yeah, we had it there for like 6 years, and then we're like at 8% inflation. So
$30. Wow, it's gone up.
yeah, I hated doing
I'll
it,
tell you
but
what, the fish of the commissary is going to turn to mackerel on Thursday instead of waiting till Friday. Because you're probably buying it cheap. You know, pre-aged. It used to be we would arrive fresh on Monday, but I'll bet it's a little elderly on Monday now.
Oh, you know
what? $30, free shipping and handling. Does it have to be 30 round? Can't be like 29.68 or something.
No, 30, because so many orders come to $29.95.
All right, how about 30.26 or something?
No, $30.
You hate pennies, don't you?
But so
you hate pennies.
I do hate pennies. What am I going to do with pennies? That's chump change.
Okay, chump change?
Yeah.
This from a man whose great uncle used to grab pennies from kids in the street. I like that.
You got to start somewhere, but after a while. Yes, a penny. We can't make out what I'm sure. What that's a feather, or that's a wheat penny or something.
No.
Old timey. Oh no.
No, it's just a regular penny.
Okay.
And I gotta tell you, you hate Lincoln. You're probably pro-Confederate.
Oh, does that make us buddies then?
Well, no, you understand. I'm feeling deep outrage right now. Okay, you don't turn this back on me. I'm outraged that you become a Confederate sympathizer. It doesn't matter that I'm one. What matters is that you become one. Do you understand?
Okay, I get it. All right.
Does the phrase rank hypocrisy mean nothing to you?
No. All right.
Sorry, I took care of that issue.
Let's look at some of these other books. I didn't realize actually that Tumblr House carried so many Dietrich von Hildebrand books because I haven't really dived into him yet. So I'm gonna list off some more that we have just in case you can provide some commentary on it, and just it's a nice promotion of some good resources that we happen to carry.
Right.
Humility, Wellspring of Virtue.
That's good.
Marriage, The Mystery of Faithful Love. That's actually a good seller in the store.
Yes, it should be.
Yeah. I do want to read that too, obviously, because it's particularly relevant now.
Why?
Then we got The Art of Living. I don't know what that is. In Defense of Purity.
Yeah, he was in favor of it.
That's good. Transformation in Christ. On the Christian Attitude. And then Liturgy and Personality.
And I would start with Liturgy and Personality.
There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one to start with. $17.99. So if you buy Liturgy and Personality, and then
a Don Marmion book.
Don Marmion. Well, we're gonna have a question on Don Marmion in the full episode, but Charles, being such a huge fan, kind of jumped the gun on this one.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking we don't have Christ, the Christ and His Mysteries, do we?
Yeah,
Don Marmion.
Well, we have Christ, the Life of the Soul. We have the anthology, which is 242 pages, and I don't know what the last one is. 1 second. Christ in His Mysteries.
All right. I would say that a brilliant double whammy would be Liturgy and Personality and Christ and His Mysteries.
Okay. It's titled Our Way in Our Life, Christ in His Mysteries. Is that the same thing? The present volume is a shorter edition of Christ in His Mysteries. Don Coulombe Marmion's profound reflection on the mysteries of Christ's birth, death, resurrection, and ascension. Okay, so it's a shorter version. It's 132 pages. Yeah, that's the best we can do for now.
Well, fine, but that plus Liturgy and Personality would be great, because those meditations of his are the mysteries are explored in terms of the church year. So, anyway.
Okay, yeah. Okay, all right. A question from Mike. He says, "Dearest Vinny and Charles."
That's us.
That is us. First, I would like to take this opportunity, my first question, to say thank you. The two of you are much needed and second to none respite from the madness of the world. Extra thanks to Vinny for his gift in my bulk order of books. You're welcome, Michael. Thank you for buying so many books, honestly. I have just finished Star-Spangled Crown, and what a book it is. While Charles may go to bed some nights hoping that he wakes up in 1964, I have begun waking up and pretending that it is 2064. King James IV's portrait adorns both the money I spend and the living room of my house.
Okay, psychotic break with reality. That's great. I'm all for it.
How do you get King? How do you get a? Okay, I won't ask.
What are you asking about? The psychotic breaks with reality? What's wrong with the psychotic break with reality? Oh, like reality is all that great. What has it ever done for you except give you a president who's senile and a vice president who's a hoe?
All right.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that one, do you, smart guy? Didn't think so.
The royal
reality is so great. Let me tell you something. Reality's planes should be smashed on the ground like Poland's during the Blitzkrieg.
Whoa. Is
What
that
do you
really
mean, whoa?
necessary?
Yeah, blitzkrieging reality. I think so.
All
I
right.
think reality needs blitzkrieging. Tanks, bombers, fighter bombers, Stukas over reality.
All right. Well, let's blitzkrieg your reality. It's when you're assaulting my reality that I
No,
have
no,
to
no, no.
take.
See, my reality is my safe space. It's impenetrable.
Oh, okay.
It's deeply hidden within the folds of my brain cells.
All right. So you and Mike are really good buds because you're both enjoying psychotic breaks.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
So Mike goes on to say the royal arms. Okay, wait a minute. Let me just. All right, let me just start over a little bit. Okay. King James IV's portrait adorns both the money I spend and the living room of my house. The royal arms will be above the judge's bench when I go in for a traffic ticket, with the little star-spangled crowns on the epaulets of the bailiff. Finally, when I attend Mass this Sunday, there will be a special prayer for the royal family. Since I will be immersing myself in that world now, I need to know something that only Charles can answer. King James was saying, "Oh, that's very ominous. Actually, that's
It is.
all
It
right."
is. I mean, this is almost like Star Trek, you know. In episode 38, when you opened up the little thing and took out your coffee, was there creamer available too? That's the kind of question Star Trek actors would be asked to just throw them a little whack whack.
All right.
Are we Trekkies?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're Star-Spangled Crown Trekkies. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
All right. King James was known as James IV, and his son, King Charles V. I understand that these ordinals came from the Stuart succession using the English numbering.
Yeah.
However, where do the sovereigns of America begin their numbering? Does it extend all the way back to the Norman conquest of England or to the accession of James I? For example, if there were to be a King Henry of the United States, would he be Henry X, following the Cardinal Duke of York, who is Henry IX, or Henry II, considering none of the previous Henrys ever reigned over English colonies in America? What about names such as Richard or Elizabeth? Would the United States start future sovereigns with those names as the first, or will they be Richard IV and Elizabeth II, respectively? I understand this isn't a serious question, but self-delusion is the key to happiness. And
That's for sure.
and if I'm to continue seamlessly escaping into the Star-Spangled Crownverse, I need to know how this will work. God bless you, my friends, Mike.
What a smart guy. All right. Well, I'll tell you. Because the conceit behind the reestablishment was the monarchy was that they were the rightful heirs of the Stuarts, then the enumeration does in fact begin in England. So yes, Richard IV, Elizabeth II. If they count Elizabeth as queen, they might just go from Mary the First to Mary the Second and ignore her completely. And of course, Henry would be Henry X. So now you know. And what I would do if I were you is I would make reservations for you, Vinny, and me at the Royal Arms downtown. You know, the pub and restaurant.
I don't think Mike's from California.
No?
I don't think so.
What state is he from?
I can't divulge that. That's actually.
Oh, you can. All right. Well, wherever he's from, make reservations for us. I mean, the Royal Arms is the title of so many pubs across America in this time and place and world.
Okay.
So Vinny and I will be there. I mean, actually, since this is all part of an utter delusion, there's no reason we can't go wherever he wants us to be.
Mike's from New Jersey.
What's that?
I said Mike's from New Jersey.
Isn't he? You shouldn't say that. That's illegal or something.
No, I can divulge that.
All right, fine. Why?
I wouldn't have divulged that if not for New Jersey.
All right, fine. Then we're going to go to the King's Head in Perth Amboy, one of the two royal capitals of the province of New Jersey.
Wow. All right.
What? You don't want to go to New Jersey,
I don't want to go to New Jersey.
even though the king has a governor there, and they've got this wonderful tavern, the Royal Arms, right close to the proprietary house where the royal governor lives.
I'm looking for something a little closer.
Well, we could go to the Royal Arms in Monterey, the capital of California.
Wait a minute. Monterey's not the capital of California anymore.
Yes, it is. It is in the Star-Spangled Crownverse, which you've just slipped into. Look down. Notice all the tax papers you've got. You notice that now they've all got Royal Arms on them instead of the things they had on before? Don't you realize that? The flag behind you is the same. That's still very popular. It's all changed now, Vinny. You've become part of the Star-Spangled Crownverse, and it's now the year of our Lord 2064. How do you feel about that?
Just, I'm uncomfortable. I need to think about things.
Why?
Yeah.
Why uncomfortable?
Because I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for any of this.
No?
No. You just forced it on us. Yeah.
You're a loyal subject of the king, God bless him. I don't see what your problem is. You know, you made so much bloody money, I'm sure you're up for a knighthood. I mean, does Sir Vincent Franchini sound all that bad? And your wife being Lady Franchini? Is that so horrible?
No, that's not so horrible. That sounds pretty nice.
Feeling a little bit better now, aren't we? And because of your wealth and prominence, you're often able to attend the mayor of Los Angeles' levee, the Lord Mayor of Los Angeles' levee. Yep,
Yeah.
every New Year's Day, there you and your lady wife are, with all the other nabobs and important people are paying attention to his worship.
Okay, I could get used to this.
See, it's beginning to make sense if you squint. You know, you've got the Lord Lieutenant of the county, who you've got the royal governor there in Monterey, who you occasionally pay court to. See, it's and because they rallied to the king early on, the Franchini Franchini legitimate businesses are considered very good friends of the king.
Yeah, the Franchini businesses. You don't need to. I mean, it's a little redundant to put legitimate businesses, right? Like it's like
it's not like they were ever anything else. So yeah, I guess okay. Yeah.
Try to
see
work
now you're happy.
Yeah.
See how much better you feel?
Yeah, this is nice.
And you know the best part of it?
What?
Guess who the chief constable of the local constabulary is?
Who?
Your old friend, Chief Constable Clancy. He worked his way up the ranks, don't you know? Started out as a simple constable. And it's your favour and patronage that brought him to the attention of his lordship the mayor.
Yeah, this could work out. This is like what were we talking about? The guild system before, where there's like a board?
Like in a matter of speaking, so to speak.
An independent board.
That's right. Free of favour or fear. A real meritocracy, as you might say. That's how I became chief constable, you know. And let me tell you something. When the Lord Mayor wants the city locked down, it's locked down, boyo.
That's scary.
What? You see, it's a coming together of all elements of society under His Majesty, God bless him. What?
Lockdowns are bad enough. Lockdowns under Officer Clancy is a whole other kettle of fish.
It's not that kind of lockdown.
Oh.
It's just that that would be beyond the competence of the royal officials to be able to put in that kind of lockdown.
Oh, okay. Good.
No, when you want to end the crime, there's a crime wave. We got to put it down, boyo.
Ah, I see. There you go.
After all, any crime wave that isn't working for us, I mean, never mind.
All right. Question from William, who says, "Can you tell us about the revolt of the Communeros? What is your opinion about it? What might have happened if they were successful, or if they are successful? Is it a current thing?"
Not if he means the revolt of the Communeros in Spain in the 1500s.
Oh, okay.
If he means some other group, that's another story. But if he means them, um, well, I mean, Spain would have been decentralized, all right, but it wouldn't have had a really good central authority, and as a result, you might very well, in a few years, have had a great deal of Protestant penetration of Spain, and as a result, the same sort of bloodshed you saw in France, the British Isles, and Germany.
Okay.
So that's I think it was a good thing it was put down, frankly.
What were they revolting about?
They were, as I recall, they resented some of their local liberties being, shall we say, cut.
That's pretty vague. What are you trying to cover up? What aren't you telling us, Charles? Let it be known.
Let it be known throughout the country that the Communeros were malcontents and discontents who didn't have a leg to stand on.
Okay.
Move along now, nothing to see here. Move along. You've all got homes to go to. Leave them Communeros alone. They never did nothing to you. Now move along. Leave them be now.
All right, we'll leave the Communeros alone. The poor Communeros. All right.
What they went through, the poor darlings, you know. Just move along now.
All right. Daniel says, "Dear Vincent and Charles, I hope you had a blessed Pentecost and enjoy all of the amazing solemnities and feast days throughout the rest of the summer." Thank you, Daniel. He says, "I would like Charles to please give an overview." Oh, here we go. On Blessed Marmion. I know Charles has spoken very highly of him and his writings in the past, as have others that I know. I just purchased his anthology from Tumblr House and hope that Charles will spend a few minutes describing just what sets Blessed Marmion apart and his particular contributions and insights into the spiritual life.
Well, yeah, sure. Marmion came from an Irish family that had been in exile. He had connections to Spain and to Belgium. He came from a lot of money, but he gave it up and went into the Benedictine life, and eventually became the abbot of Madensou in Belgium. Theologically, he was not just simply conservative, he had a very clear and fine understanding of the difference between grace and nature. Now, this is an extremely important thing that's often lacking today, both in spiritual writers and in doctrinal ones. That this is the source of what Benedict XVI is called the widespread universalism that afflicts us today, because people confuse natural good with supernatural good. There's a world of difference. The world of nature is limited, and in a certain sense, it's doomed. And while grace builds on nature, it's the sacraments of the church that allow us to escape the fate of natural man. And this was something that Don Marmion, like Father Matthias Shaben, saw very, very clearly in the 20th century at a time when people were losing sight of it. This is one reason why he would get into some real knockdown dragouts with Cardinal Mercier of Belgium, who was, shall we say, a little less attentive to these things. Don Marmion's conferences for his monks were collected into several books, one of which is my favorite, Christ and His Mysteries. originally given to me by James Francis Carter McIntyre. Like Dom Guéranger, he had a great, great love of liturgy and drew a lot out of it, both in terms of the Mass, the Eucharistic liturgy, and the Liturgy of the Hours. And he uses them a lot in his books. Um, but unlike some Benedictine writers, although not Dom Guéranger, but some Benedictines tended, while pushing for liturgy per se, they would sort of slight popular devotions. But Dom Marmion was very devoted to the Rosary, very devoted to the Stations of the Cross, in addition to being very devoted to the liturgy per se. So he drew his holiness from whatever source was available to draw it. Very Marian, very Eucharistic. I mean, just a really all around wonderful individual, and his message has never been more important than now. Interestingly, he and Dom Guéranger died the same day, January 30th.
What year?
Different years. He died, I think, in 1916 or 17, something like that. I forget. Maybe no, it was in the 20s, I think. Anyway, there you go.
Guéranger died earlier, I guess.
Yeah, he died in the 1880s, I think, early 1880s, 1870s, something like that.
Okay, I'm really fascinated by you're talking about what grace versus nature.
Yep.
And I guess I don't want to delve too. I guess it is kind of unending in terms of the discussion.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go too deeply into it, also because of time constraints. But in terms of people's actions, how does that apply in terms of like what's a grace given from God versus nature? Is that like part of the discussion here? Like what's
Well,
a natural gift versus what's God given?
versus a supernatural gift, yeah. And also, there is a difference between a mere natural good and supernatural good. And this was very confusing for people like Colorado, for instance, who decided the two were the same. This is why he could say that we're saved just by virtue of being human.
I think Father Ripperger was talking about this, where a natural good can be something as simply like money or prosperity. Like
Yeah,
prosperity
yeah.
isn't evil, yeah,
No,
but
it's
it's
not.
not a supernatural good.
No, it's not a supernatural
Yeah.
good. Just like a person can be quote unquote naturally good, but not supernaturally good.
See, okay, that's what I was trying to get to. So, what is what does that look like? A person who's naturally good
Well,
but supernaturally good. What qualities are there?
well, it would be very difficult sometimes to tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's not like the supernaturally good person necessarily has a halo shining, but a person who is only naturally good, who only practices the natural virtues, um, they very often get their reward in this life, a pleasant, enjoyable life. Whereas persons who practice the supernatural virtues, in addition thereto, very often have trouble. That's one way you can put it. They get a certain amount of persecution. Whereas the natural virtues, almost everybody appreciates. I mean, put this another way, uh, everybody applauds someone who doesn't steal, who's
Oh,
naturally honest. Everyone's in favor of it. But not everyone is in favor of someone telling all and sundry the truth about God, His church, and His sacraments.
I see. But I guess where I was getting confused in terms of grace is doesn't grace come down from heaven to help people do things like not steal, not covet, not
Of course, and grace builds on nature. I mean, I say that there's a big difference between natural good and supernatural good, and there is. And natural good is not by itself salvific, but it's a foundation that can prepare the person to receive supernatural good. It's not like, again, there's natural evil and supernatural evil. And it's not like natural evil, a life of natural evil is going to prepare you for the supernatural good. But the one is a shadow of the other and not the thing itself.
Uh, in these books that we've talked about by Blessed Marmion, does he talk about these things in these sort of terms, or are they sort of implicit and underneath
No,
his
he,
lessons?
he gets he gets pretty explicit from time to time, especially when he's talking about things like baptism and so forth.
Really? Okay, interesting. All right.
Well,
Definitely gonna put
see,
those
the,
on, yeah, my watch list.
the thing you got to bear in mind is that Christ is the mediator between God and man. He is the means whereby we are redeemed from our fallen state. He's come down that we might go up, because without that, we can't go up.
Right.
We're natural men. Uh, Men, like everything else, are limited by what they are.
Right. I mean, like one of the prayers that I say, I feel like it's a good meditation. What is it from John the Baptist or something? Lord, uh, that may I decrease so that you increase in
He
me.
must increase that I might and I must decrease. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's St. John the Baptist.
Yeah.
Now you notice it wasn't St. John the Methodist or St. John the Presbyterian.
I see. Okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna cut it off there. This is really fascinating. I could ask you questions on this forever, but the show must go on.
It must.
All right. All right. Final question. Oh, from Daniel. He has another one. He says, "I also asked Charles to describe the position of abbot and prior of a religious community and monastery. Furthermore, can lay brothers hold these positions? Historically, throughout Europe, was there often intra-monastery tension between lay brothers and those with holy orders?"
Well, the prior is sort of the executive officer of the monastery. Uh, some monasteries, though, are under abbots at other monasteries. So, in other words, you can have a Benedictine or another order foundation that's a priory, and the prior is the top officer at the monastery, but he will owe allegiance typically to an abbot somewhere else. Uh, but even in an abbey, we've got an abbot resident. The prior will be his second in command.
Hmm.
And what was the rest of the question?
Was there often intra-monastery tension between lay brothers and those with holy orders?
Yes. And not dependent upon being a priest. You had not only, and eventually, at different times and places, not only did you have lay brothers as abbots, you had lay men as abbots, which is pretty outre. But the King of France was the abbot of the Abbey of Saint Martin in Orleans.
Hmm.
So I don't say this was the best way to do it, but that's the way it was done from time to time in different places. But it did create a certain amount of tension until eventually the general rule was that abbots would be priests.
I see. All right. Um, okay. This was one of my favorite pre-shows of recent memory. So thank you, Charles, for that. Quite a
You're
treat.
very welcome. And isn't it good to think that His Majesty has such stalwart men guarding his realm of the United States, like our very own Chief Constable Clancy? And just to make sure that he kept his eye on things, he would set up his is emergency headquarters on Sullivan Street, across the medical center.
Oh, no. Okay.
What do you mean, no?
You got me.
I did. It's true. To the heart.
All right, guys. Stay tuned. We have a treat for you on the full episode.
We do. It is Father's Day. And you know what? It's going to be reminiscing. I want a girl just like the girl that married dear old dad. She was a girl and the only girl my father ever had. A sweet old-fashioned girl who's true to you, who's something or other and drinks booze too. I want a girl just like the girl that married dear old dad.
There we go. All right.
Stick around. You may hear my grandfather's clock. You say something.
Oh, me? What?
Yeah.
What was I? Okay, yeah.
We'll see you with We'll see you with the real show.
We'll see you in the real show.
That's right. And thanks very much for everyone coming dressed as my dad. I was touched. Even the women. It looks weird, but hey.
All right.
Ciao.